Good evening, everyone. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Zhang. Here is a look at some of today's top stories. After 11 years, NASA's space shuttle Endeavour will soon stand upright once again. It's being moved to a new display location. A tech expert weighs in on the launch of Meta's new app, Threads. He says the success of each platform would depend on the users. Another heat wave is expected to hit California. People are reminded to stay hydrated and indoors as much as possible. One historic space shuttle is getting a new home and also a new look for display, while showcasing its cosmic significance. NTD's Christina Corona shares more.
As if guided by the cosmos itself, NASA's Space Shuttle Endeavour embarks on a grand journey, charting to a new domain within the California Science Center, where it will continue to inspire stargazers like myself. After over 11 years on display at the California Science Center, Space Shuttle Endeavour will be moved into a vertical launch position for display at the new Samuel Oshin Air and Space Center. The California Science Center said, "We are grateful to be at this point in the construction of the new Air and Space Center and thrilled to start Go for Stack on July 20th to commemorate Space Exploration Day." Go for Stack is a roughly 6-month project that would stack each of the space shuttle components into a 20-story vertical display. It will start with installing the aft skirts. The Endeavour solid rocket motors will then be stacked to form the solid rocket boosters and then move and lift the external tank, ET-94. A large crane will lift the rocket for its final move across Exposition Park, where the orbiter will connect with the rest of the space shuttle stack. Once finished, Endeavour will stand vertically, towering at 200 feet tall. The Air and Space Center building will be completed around the full shuttle stack. The Samuel Oshin Air and Space Center will be built around Endeavour. So if you want to enjoy NASA's Space Shuttle Endeavour, then you will have until December 31st, 2023 until the spacecraft is moved to its new location. Christina Corona, NTD News, Los Angeles.
Meta's new social media app built by the Instagram team is a contender against Twitter. NTD's David Lamb spoke with the San Jose State University's Ahmed Benafa, who is a cybersecurity expert, as he weighs in.
All right, so Professor Ahmed Benafa with SJSU and cybersecurity expert, thank you for joining me today. Can you tell me about this rivalry between Twitter and Facebook, especially with the new launch of Threads?
Well, I mean, it's the whole thing started when Elon Musk took over Twitter 8 months ago. The promise was that Twitter will grow and we're going to see more users and will be more features. What we have seen is a chaotic, management style, people losing their jobs. And the last thing, which is actually the last straw that made a lot of the users frustrated and upset about it, is what happened last week when Elon Musk said that he's going to limit the number of the tweet we're going to read on a daily basis, and have this one according to the level of the subscription.
When Twitter was saying it was limiting the number of tweets that people can read, Elon Musk said, quote, it was data scraping and system manipulation on their servers, and they were trying to address that. Do you think that this is a concern?
Well, data scraping been going on forever. It's not something new. Every time somebody would like to test their AI model, their algorithm, they need data, because data is the fuel for any kind of model testing. And the best way to get the data and the best place to get data from is the internet. And one of the best places for this one is Twitter, because of the volume of the information on Twitter. Now he's upset because people are getting this for free. What he have done, he tried to protect the platform, but he created 10 problems. He's actually pushed so many of the users, on the fence. At the top of that, the advertisers, they were very upset about it. Why? Because in order for you to have a better revenue for advertisement, you need people to spend more time on the platform, to stick into the app and look more and more and scroll down more and more. What they have done, he said, I'm going to limit this one. I'm going to have this one limited to this and this and this. And it was really a wrong decision, and it's pushed a lot of people out of the atmosphere of Twitter. And here we go. Meta took advantage, and they say, we have a new option. Come and try us.
Now, Professor Ahmed, how do you see Facebook and Meta's previous data collection and privacy concerns affecting how people support their new app?
It's a problem because they don't have a good history of protecting data, and they have a lot of breaches. Now, if something happened with Threads and something happened to the 40 million users' information, in early stages, and somebody breached the system, that's going to be really a big turn down for the platform, and a lot of people they're not going to trust it anymore.
Now, in that case, what do you think Threads' biggest advantage is in order to grow its audience and fan base?
No, that's a very good point. The biggest winner in this kind of fights and competition is actually the users. It's us, because now they're going to compete to give us more features, to give us more services. For Threads to progress and grow, they have to bring all those features we talk about them, which is the hashtag, the search, and the trends, and the direct message. At the same time, they have to get rid of a very annoying feature, which is if I would like to delete my Threads account, I have to delete my Instagram account too. They have to disengage those two, so they are not connected. I can deactivate Threads, but I cannot delete it.
And we'll just have to see where this leads to as both companies try to differentiate themselves and garner more support. Thank you so much, Professor Binafa.
Sure, no problem, anytime.
Another heat wave is coming. Residents are reminded to stay hydrated and avoid going out when possible. Here's a look at the forecast.
The National Weather Service warned of another heat wave next week. Inland temperatures on Tuesday and Wednesday could see a high of 100 to 110 degrees and overnight lows of 60 to 70 degrees. The coast can expect to see cooler temperatures. The heat wave can last through next weekend. During the excessive temperatures, people are urged to avoid the sun at the hottest part of the day and drink water. Those who don't have air conditioning can go to cooling centers throughout LA County.
We'll now take a short break, everyone, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. As we just heard, another heat wave is on the way. A veterinarian shares some tips on how to keep our pet cool and avoid potential heat strokes. And it's the weekend, so that means time for some fun in the sun. We'll take a look at some upcoming events up and down the state. Those stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today, everyone. I'm your host, David Zhang. As another stifling heat wave is expected to hit Southern California and parts of the U.S. next week, some pet owners may need to take extra precautions to protect their pets from potentially fatal heat strokes. I visited a local veterinary hospital near my neighborhood to learn some tips on how to keep your dog safe from intense temperatures. As the days grow hotter, dog owners should pay careful attention because dogs will keep going even as they are overheating, and that could turn deadly on hot days.
Summer, we definitely see an uptick, and this past heat wave definitely brought in a lot of pets, unfortunately.
Patients that we see most frequently are the ones with flat faces and short noses. So the little French bulldogs and pugs, English bulldogs, mastiffs, boxers, they're the most common cases that we see.
Dogs that are obese, too young, or too old, or have preconditions of heart disease can also be at risk. So what are some signs of heat stroke dog owners should watch out for?
First thing you're going to see is that these dogs start to just act tired. They have their head down, they're walking more slowly, they're lying down frequently and not wanting to get up.
Other signs include excessive panting, vomiting, excessive drooling, bloody diarrhea, and fainting. If a dog's temperature reaches above 107 or 108, the heat could damage the dog's organs. Dr. McCready shares a personal story about her own dog.
I was on a hike on a day that wasn't very hot. It was just 80 degrees, but it was sunny without much breeze. And first she started just slowing down, hanging her head, looking like she was getting tired. And then she lay down in a puddle, and we thought that, you know, she was just having fun and we were laughing, but she couldn't get up and she had collapsed because of the heat.
Her dog luckily got help and is doing great now. But Dr. McCready reminds pet owners that there is not a good survival rate for actual heat strokes. So prevention is very crucial.
So if you have an air-conditioned environment, just keep them in that environment from like 10 o'clock in the morning till late in the evening, like 7 or 8 in the evening, especially on real hot days. And then also, give them access to shade, give them access to a wading pool, make sure they've got plenty of water and good ventilation. You can turn fans on.
She also reminds people to never leave pets in a car unattended and to know your nearby veterinary hospitals in case of an emergency.
Take care of your pets and good luck.
David Zhang, NTD News. California state air regulators and truck and engine manufacturers struck a deal on state emissions rules that will give companies more flexibility to meet the requirements. But 20 other states filed a lawsuit against the EPA for backing California's future ban on heavy diesel vehicles.
The California Air Resources Board, or CARB, and truck and engine manufacturers said on Thursday they will give companies more flexibility to meet the state's emission requirements. CARB said, quote, "The unprecedented collaboration between California regulators and truck manufacturers mark a new era in our zero-emission future, where we work together to address the needs of both the trucking industry and Californians who deserve to breathe clean air." In March, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, approved California's plan to require a switch to zero-emission trucks by 2045. This includes all medium and heavy-duty vehicles. According to the California Energy Commission, the state achieved its goal of 1.5 million zero-emission vehicles sold in the state 2 years ahead of schedule. One of America's biggest truck companies, Ford Motors, said the company is committed to improving air quality by producing more environmentally friendly vehicles. But earlier this month, Iowa and 19 other states filed a lawsuit against the EPA for backing California's future ban on heavy diesel vehicles. The lawsuit called the move an alleged attempt to regulate traditional trucking out of existence through mandating net zero emission standards.
And more on these emission rules. We'll take a look at how recent 2021 rules for trucks designed to reduce emissions output could impact you, me, and the trucking industry. NTD's Evening News anchor Stephanie Cox spoke with Mike Chukowski from JKC Trucking, who says policymakers and industry leaders should work together more closely to tackle emissions targets, while also supporting consumers and the industry.
Mike Kucharski, welcome to our show. Thanks so much for coming on. We're looking at California's trucking rules as they're changing. How is it changing the trucking industry?
Thank you for having me on your show. This mandate is based on brand new technology, and I support green energy, but it's extremely frustrating, and I agree with California or the EPA because they keep jamming these mandates down truckers' throats. Example, California wants to force half of its trucks to be electrified by 2035. This is great, but these regulations are not practical for 5 reasons. Number 1, costs. 2, infrastructure. 3, testing and data. 4, driving range, and 5, less payload capacity.
You mentioned that it may be affecting the driving range. I'd love to hear how that relates to electric trucks.
Yeah, just to give you an idea, JKC, we're a long-distance hauler, so we're going from Chicago to California, and long-distance driving range for electric trucks is not practical. Let me give you an example. Right now, one of my trucks fills up with diesel. It takes about 300 gallons, and its driving range is about 1,800 miles. A new electric truck will charge for 10 hours, and its driving range will capacity capacity will be about 150 to 300 miles. To give you an idea, if you and I jump in a truck tomorrow and we're trying to go to Los Angeles from Chicago, we'll barely make it to the Illinois-Iowa border, yet alone to California. And then the range right now, trucks are making 500 to 700 miles a day with our current technology. If we move to new technology, we should be making more than that, or at least minimum equivalent to, not less.
And if these new plans go ahead, as we expect they will, it looks like there will be more electric trucks on the road and fewer diesel trucks. What are your other concerns around that?
I mean, my biggest concern is the testing and data. Example, how will these trucks work in the extreme cold, in the high elevations when we go through the mountains, the Las Vegas desert when it's 130 degrees, Death Valley? The fastest way to kill a lithium batteries was extreme heat and extreme cold. And if this technology fails, the entire supply chain will be dead in the water. Failure is not merely inconvenient; it's catastrophic. This is not an option, especially for the food supply chain of America. These changes also were made without checking the supply chain challenges that we're facing right now.
And impacting challenges that we're already facing, as you mentioned, with the food supply chain, with inflation, with accessibility to all these essential items. How else will all these changes affect consumers? I mean,
these changes will trickle down to the end user, the consumer, the American people, and cost more of goods. Federal officials have gone and testified, and said this on TV, saying that these costs will be passed down to the consumers. So you and I will be paying more for these electric trucks.
There is still this push to accommodate efforts to reduce emissions. So how do you think, the trucking industry can be supported alongside that?
The best way the trucking industry to be supported is the EPA, the federal officials, everybody needs to sit down with the truckers so we could tell them what our challenges are, what are our problems, so we could work together to come up with answers for these problems, to move forward, keep the supply chain moving, the wheels rolling, and feeding the American people together. Right now it's just kind of one-sided. It's what they decide, but it's not they're not addressing our problems.
Thank you so much, Mike Kucharski, for coming on our show.
Thank you for your support.
California Governor Gavin Newsom wants to probe Republican-led states. He wrote a letter to the U.S. Attorney General about the recent transport of illegal immigrants. Over the past year, illegal immigrants purportedly seeking asylum have been transported from Texas to Massachusetts and California in initiatives funded by Florida. In the letter, Newsom says this was under false pretenses. He asks the DOJ to open criminal and civil investigations into the matter. Last September, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis transported around 50 illegal immigrants from San Antonio to Martha's Vineyard. And in June, Florida sent 2 flights carrying illegal immigrants to Sacramento. DeSantis defended these flights, arguing that sanctuary jurisdictions like California share the blame for illegal immigration crisis. He has also criticized the lack of federal action. Now, as we wrap up the week, let's take a look at some of the fun and exciting events up and down the state happening this weekend.
First up, the 47th annual Free San Francisco Folk Festival, with 5 stages of music and performances, will be live in Golden Gate Park on Saturday, July 8th. The whole event is volunteer-run and expecting to have between 2,000 and 3,000 guests attend. For you reptile lovers out there, over 5 acres, 700 tables, and 200 plus vendors for everything reptile. The Reptile Super Show is coming to the Anaheim Convention Center this weekend. You don't want to miss it. Have you ever wanted to try the very best Latin food from all over the Caribbean, Central and South America? With so many different vendors, you will be able to find something to your taste at the free Sazon Latin Food Festival in Alameda. And one of America's largest Asian food markets is returning to Arcadia this Friday through Sunday. Tickets to the 626 Night Market are $5 and can be purchased online or cash only in person.
Now let's check in with NTD's Carlos Reyes for your sports roundup.
This is your California Sports Roundup. We have some exciting scores to cover today. I'm Carlos Reyes. First up on the list, Freddie Freeman and Max Muncy hit home runs. Julio Urias went 6 strong innings, and host Los Angeles turned back Pittsburgh. Urias gave up 2 runs on 3 hits with 1 walk and 8 strikeouts, as he looked more like his former self while making his second start since returning from a 7-week absence because of a hamstring injury. Rookie Nick Gonzalez had a 2-run double for the Pirates, who lost for the 5th time in their past 6 games following a 4-game winning streak. The Dodgers won 3 games in the 4-game series and took the season series 4-3 despite dropping a 3-game set at Pittsburgh in April. Dodgers 5, Pirates 2. Javier Baez reached base 4 times, scored 2 runs, and drove in 2 more. 4 pitchers combined on a shutout, and host Detroit thumped Oakland. Jake Marcinek doubled and homered for the Tigers, who salvaged the finale of a 3-game series. Kerry Carpenter added 2 hits and an RBI, as every starter in the Tigers lineup had at least 1 hit. Michael Lawrenson, the team's all-star representative, tossed 5 innings. He gave up 3 hits and struck out 4. Lawrenson collected his first victory since May 16. Oakland starter Hogan Harris allowed 7 runs on 8 hits and 4 walks while striking out 6 in 4 innings. But it wasn't enough, as the Tigers secured an easy win. Tigers 9, Athletics 0. Now let's kick it over to some soccer. As the Women's World Cup draws near, the United States women's national team finds itself on the cusp of an exhilarating final test before the grand tournament. Set to lock horns with Wales, a formidable opponent, the stage is set for a mesmerizing encounter at PayPal Park in San Jose on Sunday, July 9th. Following a series of scintillating performances in the build-up to the Women's World Cup, the U.S. women's national team enters this crucial showdown with immense confidence. Their journey so far has been nothing short of dominance, dismantling opponents with remarkable precision. Led by their captain Alex Morgan and a stellar cast of players, the American side aims to showcase their supremacy on home soil. The match at PayPal Park promises to be a fascinating battle between contrasting styles. The US's relentless attacking prowess and clinical finishing have dazzled spectators around the globe, while Wales's stout defense and swift counterattacks have proven to be a potent combination. This final pre-World Cup clash offers both teams a chance to fine-tune their strategies, test their mettle, and assert their dominance. The U.S. women's national team aims to prove that they are the team to beat as they seek to defend their crown in the upcoming Women's World Cup. That is it for today's sports. Thank you for watching. I'm Carlos Reyes.
Thanks, Carlos. All right, everyone, that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts at ntd.com/California-today. You'll also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Genjin World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. If you'd like to share news tips or let us know how we're doing, we'd love to hear from you. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.